So what's going on, everybody? I got Saitama over here with me. I know you guys missed him from the previous videos that I made, and he's back. So I think I'm ready to make you guys a video here. So in this one, I wanted to kind of do more of a Q&A. I realized I've never actually done a Q&A. I just went and answered a lot of comments, and that makes it hard for a lot of people to find the answers to the questions that are commonly asked to me. So I went and wrote down 7 of the most common questions that I get asked, and I have them over here. So we'll be going over all of that stuff really shortly. So the first question that I got is, am I too old to start coding? And my answer to that is hell no. I don't think you're too old. When I first started programming, I think I was about 32, which I don't think is really that young anymore, but some people call it old or whatever. But 32, and I figured by the time I got my first job, I would be probably 34, 35, 36, around there. Which I ended up getting my job at 34. So definitely a big difference between somebody who just graduated out of college or something like that, or kids who started programming like from middle school and high school and all that, and completely bypassed college and just got a job. Those scenarios are also very likely, but I don't think that there's such a thing as too old. I know that some companies might be biased against that, and which is wrong. However, it is possible, but you really only need like that one yes. And there are a lot of people who I've seen at Lambda who are older than me who are getting jobs and kicking ass out there. So try not to limit yourself for something like that, because there's so many excuses that we can come up with when it comes to this. Like I could say that they don't hire a lot of minorities, and so maybe they won't hire me. This is just an excuse that I could come up with. So try to think more about the reasons why you should do this rather than the reasons why you shouldn't. All right. So I was curious if you could go from part time to full time with the program. So I had quite a few students when I was a TL for the part time web cohort that actually went to the full time. And so some of them stayed part time and decided to become TLs for the full time. Some of them decided they wanted to do the full time switch. And so you just have to talk to your TLs and to your section leads, and they'll bring in student success and they'll work with you and try to accommodate a schedule that lets you do the transfer. All right, so how much of your pay do they take after you've landed a job? So this is 17% of your paycheck. And if you actually go into Lambda School's website and go into the FAQ section, then they do have a calculator on there. So it has a little drag feature that lets you drag a slider around and see how much you would pay back based on how much you're making. But you also have to remember that there's a cap of $30,000. So anything more than that, you're not paying. Which I believe in order to reach that cap, you would have to be making approximately $88,500. So once you reach that, you'll be paying more money monthly. However, it'll be paying down the months that you owe money. All right. So how much, or I already read that one. Is it hard to get accepted into Lambda School? So I find that getting accepted into a lot of code schools pretty difficult. I applied to 3 before Lambda School, and Lambda was actually my last choice, but that was mostly because I was a little intimidated by them. But I applied to 3, and one of them didn't, like, they just accepted me right away. Like I just had to like send them a letter or something like that saying why I wanted to join, and then that was pretty much it. They're like, all right, cool. The other 2 gave me pre-course work to do, and then they kind of had like different yet similar ways of accepting you that Lambda did. Except the second one, I ended up having to do an interview with one of the recruiters for the school, and it was kind of like a technical interview. Like you shared your screen, they got to see your code, and you walked them through the code that you wrote just to make sure that you're the one that wrote it. They asked you some technical questions about what you wrote, and then they asked you to implement a feature like live in front of them and talk them through what you're doing and all of that. So very very close to what it would be like when you're during like some job some job like application features or whatever. But and then the third one just sent me like some technical challenges and things like that. Lambda schools, their stuff is evolving, and they're actually putting alumni through some of these things. They're asking us to volunteer to take some of these processes and give them feedback so that they can reiterate over it. But I think that for me, because I had prior experience just through my own self learning, I was able to do it pretty quickly. So I actually did the pre-course stuff in like I think 1.5 days. Like I did the first lecture and realized I knew a lot of this stuff, and so I just took the challenge the next day and passed it. Um, I tried to do that same thing a while back after I got hired and everything to see what it was like, and it wasn't that difficult. But I think that I probably would have struggled a little bit more at that time. So definitely pay attention to the pre-course work and really do it, follow it along, especially if you're not too confident about getting accepted. Just stick with that pre-course work as much as you can before you take the plunge. All right. So, how many hours per week would you say you spend doing Lambda related things during the full time course? So, this kind of varies from person to person. Me, for instance, because I was comfortable with a lot of the beginning material, the HTML and CSS stuff, I didn't really have to spend too much time working on it. It wasn't until we reached the JavaScript part where I wasn't as comfortable, and then the React part where I also was not very comfortable with at the time. That's when I had to spend a little bit of extra time working on things after hours just to get it. And I also didn't really have a very good TL during that time, and so whenever I asked for help, my TL was Ghost. uh, Eventually I got switched to a different TL that cared a lot more and was more accessible. And so I ended up, because of the help that he provided me, I ended up not having to spend as much time. He would let me struggle, but then, still be able to come in and answer some questions and help me out a lot more. So I think that it's all really based on the type of material that you're getting. I struggled really hard with Redux and a few other modules. Definitely struggled very hard with CS. And so CS took, I think I was on the computer the entire time. And I think I may have gone to the bathroom maybe twice during the entire time of CS. So I was on that one a little bit longer. All right, so I have like no experience in coding, but I'm really interested and wanted to use it to further my career. Is it okay if I'm not familiar with the content? Should I study anything beforehand? So I have a video with Michael Checo, good buddy of mine. I actually talked to him just the other day, and he's doing really good. He's really good. Um, I'm actually kind of jealous of him, but he's doing great. But he had no experience prior to coming into Lambda. He never programmed anything, hasn't even looked at code or anything before, just happened to see a tweet from Austin, the CEO of Lambda, and then decided to just hop in and give it a shot. And I mean, honestly, like if you were to talk to him before that interview, I did not even know that he had no prior experience, just because he was kicking ass doing brown bags like lectures for students and all this other stuff. Um, but at the same time, he had this really great system where as soon as we started the class, he started a Notion document. And if you don't know what Notion is, this now is like your chance to look at it and try to get ahead of the game. But he had this Notion document where he put a lot of the stuff that he was learning into, kind of like as a journal for him to be able to go back and see what he's learned, and just reiterate over things. And he was really good at studying. I'm not that great at studying. I learned through repetition. And so for me, once you teach me something, I have to do it again and again a few times before I understand it, write a bunch of comments, do a bunch of things, take some notes, maybe watch a few different videos from other people. I learned very slowly. But he didn't have prior experience. Now, what he did do, however, was those notes, and he paid a lot of attention during the pre-course work, followed along, asked a bunch of questions, and that's a big thing right there. Just like you're going to be confused all the time, especially starting brand new with something you haven't seen before. And so ask a lot of questions and take advantage of like anybody who says that they're around to help. If somebody says I'm around to help, you make up a problem and and get them involved, because a lot of people love helping. It's a way that we can grow as developers, and that you can grow as somebody who's trying to learn as a student. So yeah, take advantage of it. All right. Um, but if you still don't feel comfortable with that and you want to learn some stuff beforehand, feel free to check out sites like freecodecamp.gov. I think they're .gov. But Free Code Camp actually has a lot of the material that I started learning with. And so if you go over there, it's free. They have projects and everything, and they have like so much material that you would feel like, you know, like from when you first see it, you're like, why do I need a code school or anything like that? There's so much material here. So give them a shot first, and see if you can build up your knowledge a little bit and your confidence, and then give Lambda a shot. All right, so those are all the questions that I had on there written down as the most common ones that I get. If you have any questions or comments, or want me to drop something into the Q&A next time, then feel free to let me know and put them in the comment below. If this helped answer any of your questions, do me a favor and just like the video, maybe share it, comment, let me know, and I'll see you guys next time.